Security, please come remove Anastasia. Hey, y'all. Hey. Welcome back to the Deep Dive with Toya Creates. Today is Thursday, May 14th, and we are about to get into Beyond the Gates. But first, as always, if you like content like this, please like, comment, share, follow, subscribe, do all the things, please. I would love to chat with you guys about everything. So, I feel like today was another solid episode of Beyond the Gates, but I'm a little biased. We had, let me see, I counted four major storylines. Well, not major, four storylines for today. And I'm going to go in order a little bit. So we open with Vernon and Anita, okay? I love Anita so much. She's so funny. So Anita is basically off to the doctor's, and Vernon was like, "Oh, I thought your appointment wasn't until a few weeks from now." But she said she called the doctor. There was an opening, and she is going to take it because she is impatient and she is tired of waiting, and she is just ready to get to the next phase of this so it can be over. So, Vernon says, "It's my place to remind you to take care of yourself." And, he's like, maybe you should wait until later. Anita don't want to hear none of that. She was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm closing this chapter today. Are you coming, Vernon? And he's like, yes, ma'am. So he goes and they see Dr. Bauer. And this was a really good part to me. I mean, I am one of the people who appreciate the cancer story because it's so real and it's very informative. So we literally, it was like we were a fly on the wall for Anita's follow-up appointment. So we see Dr. Bowers and he says the next steps are for her to do imaging and that is to help measure what is left of the tumor. She asked about when her hair should start growing back, and he said in a few weeks. And after that, surgery would be the next step. So he did a fantastic job of going through all of her options. We learned how the next step would be to remove the tumor. She could do that by a double mastectomy, which is where you remove both breasts, and that's what he said, that's what women who are like a little younger typically do because that usually gives the best results in terms of the cancer not returning. And then another option could be the bilateral mastectomy or the lumpectomy. That is still viable because her treatment went so well, and the lumpectomy is a little less invasive. But there was another option that she could have done. She could have opted to basically remove her reproductive organs because that should, limit the exposure to this cancer turning into like ovarian cancer and things of that nature. So like I said, Dr. Bowers is, I mean, if only all doctors were like that, because he wasn't rushing them and he was thorough. And Anita was asking all of the questions that she needed to ask. So Dr. Bowers went over everything and he told her all of the processes, like literally how long it's going to take, what we do, all of it. So he wanted to give Anita time to decide on what she wanted to do. And she was like, I've had plenty of time to think about it while I was doing those chemo treatments. And she has opted to go for the less invasive lumpectomy, and she is not removing her reproductive organs. So the doctor is fine with that, and so she will just have to stay vigilant in the future and just stay on top of like her annual exams, like the women's wellness exam and other things that she needs to do just to make sure the cancer is fully, gone, remission, staying away. And her and Vernon talk about it really briefly, and she thanks him for just standing next to her, even though, he may not necessarily agree with her choices. But he said, it is totally up to her, and he just wants to be along for the ride. They were so freaking cute. Okay, so that's basically how that part of their story concluded at first. We're going to come back to them a little later. So then we also we saw, I called her missionary Mona is back. Okay, we haven't seen Mona in a while. So we see Randy sitting in Orphe jeans at a table that's like facing the door. And Mona comes in to pick up her little turkey wrap, and Randy sees her, and he was like, trying to hide behind a menu. Mona walked up to him and she was like, I didn't know someone who worked for Joey would be so afraid of someone like me trying to hide behind a menu. And Randy told her that she put the fear of God in him. Because the last time she saw him, Mona did not appreciate his lasciviousness with Lynette, who was at the table with him, and he was licking ketchup off her finger. And Mona was disgusted. Okay, so when she saw that, she plucked Brandy right upside. Well, she smacked him upside his head, not plucked. She slapped him, and then her and Lynette got into a little exchange. But okay, so Randy got some act right when it come to Mona because he afraid of her. So then he invites Mona to stay and talk. And he's like, oh, you got that turkey wrap. And then, he was throwing out little innuendos like, oh, I want to see what all the fuss is about. Like, ooh. Because Randy and Mona were like kind of flirting a little bit before, and I was like, "Ooh, okay." But, then Lynette came into town and blew that up. But okay, so he's flirting, and Mona was like, have you lost your mind? Because I hope you find it. Shout out Stanley. He even starts putting his hand on Mona. He getting handsy. Mona was like, no, I am a woman of substance, sir. Not like that heifer you were with the last time. That's what she said. I mean, she didn't call her a heifer, but whatever. And Randy was like, I thought we were vibing. And Mona was like, think again, okay? She is not woman thou art loosed, okay? She is not loose like Lynette, and she ain't having it. You are going to respect her. So then, Mona was still talking about the indecency of him licking ketchup off Lynette's finger in public. But then she was like, you know what? I'm sure you probably did some worse stuff than that. Just kind of alluding to his dealings with Joey. And then, she talks about Lynette a little while, and Randy's like, you don't have to worry about her because she is gone. And Mama's like, well, what happened? Oh, I know what happened. Lynette ghosted you. And she was like, I could have pegged that from a mile away, girl. You were so wrong. Anyways, so they also continue to just talk, and she brings up Leslie and how, that's the only person who got over on her because Mona feels like she has a good sense of people, and Leslie was the outlier. She was like, never again. And so Randy asked, like, why are you sitting with a roughneck like me? And Mona said, well, maybe I see something in you that's worth my time. And then she tells him about the goodness of the Lord. She is doing her best evangelizing, but I feel like she like Randy, but she also wants to save his soul, and I like that. I respect it. She's coming in with a gentler hand now because she was very much giving uptight holy roller to to heavenly for earthly good, but she's being normal now. She's meeting him where he's at, talking about the grace of God, and she's extending some for once. So, she sees something in Randy that he doesn't see, and she just tells him, like, maybe you're hanging out with the wrong people, and that's why you feel so convicted now. And, you can always come back to church. He doesn't know how, if that's a good idea because he feels like he's undeserving. But again, that's where she said, whoa, that's where she said, that is what God's grace is for. And he's going to meet you where you are. The doors of the church are open. And Mona leaves. So that was it for that. So then we also saw Vanessa and Joey, okay? It started off cool. It started off lovey dovey and it took a turn. So, first, she's there and she's just kissing all over her boo. And she's telling him how Donnell's coming into town, or he's already in town because it's almost time for this cotillion. And Donnell is escorting Samantha, which is cool. And Vanessa's just sad that Dirty Deanna didn't come with Donnell. I'm not sad about it because whatever. So she's just talking about that to Joey and he's listening. And then she just changes the subject. She just goes in her briefcase and she pulls out this paper. And Joey's like, oh, well, what is that? And Vanessa was like, I called in a favor to someone and I did a little digging and I found out some of the last properties your sister Heather has purchased. And this is like, this is an opportunity to locate her. Why did she say that? Joey was like, no, ma'am. Who asked you to dig into my business? Not me. And he went off. He told her point blank, do not look for my sister and don't try to fix my life so you can feel less guilty about your own. Vanessa wasn't expecting that. Oh, she was pissed. She took that little paper and told him to basically shove it. She threw it in his face and walked out. And Joey's just like, you know what, Joey? Vanessa is gonna be your downfall. You can't be in love like this and be a mobster. Or you gotta pick one that's gonna keep. You need an Apollonia from Godfather. You need that. Okay? You got cat right now. But you need an Apollonia. Anyways, that's what happened right then and there. So then, after that exchange, Vanessa goes to meet Donnella Uptown, and she is just frantic, child. They hug, and he's like, what is wrong, Mom? And she apologizes again for like pulling him into the middle of things because she was asking about Deanna. And I guess they had a conversation like, look, don't ask me, ask her. But what ever. He said Deanna was cool and she didn't have any major blow ups, and Vanessa was just hoping that she would have come. And then Donnell's getting like uncomfortable and she apologizes, like I said, for pulling him into it again. And he's like, well, that's not the only thing that's seems to be wrong with you. What else is going on? And she starts talking about Joey. He's like, was it Joey? And she starts talking about, just very slightly, she wasn't saying anything crazy, and then say his name and he appears like Joe Hendry. Joey is in the doorway of Uptown looking on. Now Joey walks over to the table. He says hi, blah, blah, blah. And so Joey and Vanessa had also been discussing the cotillion and how he thinks it's pretentious. And Vanessa was defending it and explaining the importance of it, yada, yada, yada. And she got sentimental about it. I forgot to say this. She got sentimental about it when she was reminiscing about the twins having their cotillion time, and she was talking about how Doug was so excited for Donnell, and she just wishes Doug was here to see Donnell still participate, just to be here for him right now. And it's something like a dad would do, like he would give cufflinks or a tie or shoe, something like that. So again, Joey has shown up. He comes over to the table, he greets them, he don't cause no issues. So then he pulls out a little box and he's like, he gives it to Donnell and Donnell opens it and it's this beautiful, like diamond, maybe ruby, some other jewel, cufflinks. And Joey brought it there to kind of make amends, I think, with Vanessa. And he offered them to Donnell. And Donnell was like, you didn't have to go out and buy these. Like, and Joey explains, I didn't buy them. My uncle gave them to me many years ago. And he was hoping I would save them for an event or something. I was thinking, like, maybe you want to wear them to the cotillion, and Donnell is not having it. Okay, he's not super rude. He's not Deanna rude, but he's like, you shouldn't have done this, and you not my dad. So Joey takes that. He apologizes for overstepping, and he goes on about his day. Vanessa is then like, "Oh, Donnell, like you didn't have to be that mean to him," because now she's softened up, she's changed, she's happy with Joey now. And she was like, that was very sweet of him. He's a sweet man, and he's just trying to. And Donnell was like, that ain't my daddy. Da-da-da-da. So Vanessa's had enough. Okay, and I understand as a mom. But sometimes you'd be like, everybody shut the hell up. She was like, just please, can everybody that I love get along and coexist for my benefit? Can you do that, Donnell? And then that's that on that scene. I'm like, okay. So then later we see Donnell go visit Joey at the casino. When he walks up, Randy is there telling Joey what he's learned about Smitty. But Joey's like, you're a day late and a dollar short. I already know that. He ain't even know what Randy was talking about because Joey was all just in his head about what had just happened. That's why I said Vanessa and these children are going to be Joey's downfall. But whatever. So Donnell walks up and he, they all dap him and Randy. He's like, oh, D, what's up? Da, 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 da. Because Randy was very close to Doug. And so, of course, he knows his children. So Randy goes on about his way, and Donnell apologizes to Joey for being rude. Thank you. I said one of these twins has some home training and some sense. I mean, he wasn't wrong for feeling like Joey was overstepping, but he didn't blow it up like Deanna did. I mean, like there's a time and a place. Restraint. It took me many years to learn. I ain't gonna lie, I was Deanna. So I have learned from the error of my ways. Anyway, so he apologizes to Joey, and Joey's like, I'm not trying to replace your dad. Um, and basically this is why I chose not to be a parent. Like this is why I don't have any kids. I'm not trying to be your dad. This is why I don't have kids, but I will settle for us being friends if you're cool with that, Donnell. And Donnell's like, he guessed that's okay. And then they look at the cufflinks. They are sitting on the bar, and Joey's like, well, you can still take them if you want. It's cool either way, whatever you decide. But if you change your mind, you'll have them. And I mean, of course, he will have to bring them back. They're on loan, but Donnell takes them, and then he goes on his way. So that was some good resolution there. So let me go to my list. So the thing that burnt my biscuits today. We see Nicole and Samantha at the country club just catching up. It's almost cotillion time, so Nicole's checking in on Samantha because Samantha has been such a ball of nerves and she is feeling insecure in that she is not a real Dupree. She's not a Dupree by blood. She didn't grow up in this hoity-toity ass town, and she, the people are talking, and her mother's a previous homeless drug, all the things. Okay, so Nicole is talking to her granddaughter when Anastasia and Francesca enter the club. I hate these broads. Like more than Leslie, more than Haley. I hate them. They are the epitome of some uppity women who think they are better than everyone else, and I can't stand it. Anastasia, hot take. Anastasia is what Kat will become if she doesn't stop being a little elitist. But let's get into this story. So they come over to this table, and it is just, it's so necessary. So they are basically just say Anastasia is way too old to be acting like this. She's basically calling Samantha little orphan Annie. She doesn't belong here. She just keeps going on and on and on. Samantha is a child. This is so inappropriate. And Nicole was just sitting there taking it. So Samantha even tried to diffuse the situation by trying to make like friendly conversation with Francesca, even though Francesca hates her too. And she's just like her old bald headed grandmother. I mean, she ain't bald. Their hair is very nice. I'm just being mean. Nothing wrong with being bald either. I digress. Whatever. They got me worked up. So when Samantha was trying to just make friendly conversation with Francesca, that's when Anastasia was like calling her little orphan Annie. And then they just walk away. And you know what? Nicole had enough. Nicole said, "You wait right here, Samantha, because I have to go address Anastasia." She went over there. She was shaking. I mean, she was livid. And she was like, "If you ever speak to or talk about my granddaughter like that again, I will give you the comeuppance you have been begging for." She better than me because I'd have tossed that whole country club up. Dude. In fact, no, I wouldn't. Anastasia, security, membership director, revoke her and her whole family. This is why the Lord did not give me this type of power, because I would abuse it for sure. I Anastasia, I would have had them drugged out of that country club the first time we saw this heifer and this nonsense. So the Duprees have a lot more restraint and patience, but that seemingly ran out today with Nicole. And I'm glad because Nicole is the only one who, well, Anita does too. I don't know. Let me take that back. I'm thinking about where was this energy when Leslie was still in Samantha's idea for the clinic, but whatever. Nicole done choked her out once. I guess she wasn't trying to go to jail. But yeah, Anastasia is standing firm in her elitism. It is so disgusting. Anastasia then calls Tyrell and Samantha two little strays that Martin brought home. And then she starts talking about June. She's like, Samantha comes from that type of stock. She was homeless. She was a drug addict. Like, this is like basically the thought of Samantha even participating is like she's making a mockery. So this kept going on and on and on. And Anastasia was calling Nicole and the Duprees entitled, and Nicole was like, Samantha has more class in her pinky than you have in your entire body. And Anastasia was like, please. Everybody knows that Samantha is garbage, and everyone is just too polite to say it other than me. And Nicole told her, go to hell. Please go straight to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect $100. If I don't know what I would do in that situation, but some furniture would have been moving. Probably. This is why I can't go to the country club, y'all. I'm not having it. So, mm, so then Nicole goes back to her table. Vanessa is rushing in at this point. I guess she was meeting up to talk about the cotillion. She has no idea what happened, and she's just like, like, what's going on? What did I miss? So then Nicole and Vanessa and Samantha are here, and Anastasia and Francesca are here. And Vanessa and Nicole are talking very loudly right here about Anastasia, how disgusting and despicable she is. And then, oh, I forgot Francesca. While Nicole was over talking to Anastasia, Francesca went over to Samantha pretending to be nice. And she was just like, I'm sorry for what my grandmother did. I'm sorry that she said all those vile things out loud. And Samantha was like, "Oh, I'm really surprised that you are apologizing." And Francesca was like, "Well, I do agree with her. You don't belong here." And then she starts talking about Nathan, that little piece of scum who tried to get into Samantha's panties and talk about her. That's who's taking Francesca to the cotillion. It be your own people sometimes. And I don't like that. Anyways, so Vanessa's there. She's getting caught up. Nicole and Vanessa are talking about Anastasia as if she's not one table over. And Samantha's had enough at this point. Because she wouldn't tell Nicole what that girl said to her. And she has just had enough. So Samantha just gets her stuff and she's like, I can't do this. I have to leave. And she walks past them heifers and they're just like, again, security. But that's what happened today. So I am hoping Samantha wins Platinum Debutante. I am hoping that the Duprees use their power to wipe Anastasia and Francesca and any of their lineage off the face of the earth, because that's what I do. I think Donnell and Joey will continue to get closer, but then when everything comes out, it's just gonna be a mess. I feel Joey could be good, but he's not all the way good. But whatever. And I'm sure we'll see Deanna coming back soon to cause some strife. Happy for Anita. Curious to see the next phase in this because I'm sure we're gonna go through all of the surgeries and the things with her as well. And that's it. I am ready to see what happens tomorrow. And I'll see you guys then. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.